Thanks for joining us on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi. Military veterans often face a complex set of issues after their service, and those issues are often extra complicated for veterans of color. So for a bit more about some of those issues and maybe some remedies and some fixes that are ongoing, we're now joined by 9 News race and culture contributor Shay Johnson for more about this very kind of important but also complex issue.
Absolutely, Chris. It's important and complex, like you said. You know, I've spoken with some veterans of color and really got to dig in about some of the things that they're experiencing once they leave the military and some of the things that they need. And there's a diverse experiences, including racial bias and discriminatory treatment. And so as I begin to speak with them, they really talked about instances of feeling isolated, really feeling alone during the process of coming back. And so they were talking to me about really needing support, equitable support from not only their local VA systems, but from the military and the people and community around.
There's also several studies that show that rates of PTSD are higher amongst BIPOC veterans. First of all, can you talk about why that is and if there are special resources dedicated to that specific problem?
That's a great question. I really think it's a problem because the sensitivity in therapy, the understanding of cultural backgrounds and the support that they need, and it's not just a one fixed support system when you look at veterans of color. So they need a little bit more, something that is culturally appropriate, something that really checks the box for them in the cultural representation. And so we know just in the general world, we don't have therapy that is really announced for people of color. And so when you get people that kind of look like you and understand the cultural nuances, then you're able to get through some of those issues you're dealing with, especially like PTSD, which we know is a critical condition once you come back.
No doubt about that. Obviously, that's critical when we're talking about veterans. Also, of course, critical, economic stability and employment opportunities are essential for veterans' successful transition to civilian life. Can you share insights into the specific socioeconomic disparities faced by BIPOC veterans and the challenges that they encounter when they're seeking employment or pursuing education after their service?
Absolutely. And so what I feel like when we look at this, the challenges around that is in access. When we talk about access to education, access to employment, access to housing, they don't get the same treatment as their counterparts that may not be of color. And so they're really looking at the lack of mentorship, the lack of networking, the lack of opportunities. And when you look at all those different barriers, how do you advance in a social economic space? How do you advance when you don't have the proper education, when you don't have the proper resources? And that's what is happening with veterans of color.
And maybe getting to some of those solutions here. One place the veterans in Colorado can go to is the Colorado Veterans Project. Tell us more about them and what they're doing.
What I love about them is that they are a nonprofit organization focused on veteran support. And so not just with veterans of color, but all veterans, but they have a department that's for veterans of color. And they really organize special events, they raise funds for them, and they're really making sure that these veterans not only have the resources, but have a network of people that can assist them in different areas. Because we know everybody's dealing with something different as a veteran, right? It's not a one-stop shop, but with this resource, they can give you resources in financial, in the mental health, in housing, and education, and all the different levels of support. So I love that you can pick out what you need as a veteran and go to this nonprofit and get the help that you need.
And speaking specifically here, because we are focused on BIPOC veterans, there's also the Black Veterans Project, which is, of course, dedicated to
Black veterans,
you might imagine.
Yes. And I always say, when something's dedicated to you, it literally is, it's a lot more cultural responsive, right? And so when we look at this is also another nonprofit that has a mission to raise awareness in education, as well as the public about the unique history of black veterans. So they talk about the unique history of that, and once you know history, you can know where you're going. And they really make sure that they do storytelling. And storytelling kind of helps you capture some of the inequities, but also helps you capture how you can be resilient and triumphant amongst these things. And so they really are advocates of racial equity, advocates of making sure that these military men and women are being taken care of and their well-being as a Black veteran is actually being looked at, and they are being helped throughout this process.
Yeah, it's all so important. And the Black Veterans Project also shares some statistics showing some of those disparities shared by Black service members in the military. What does their data show, and what is the organization trying to do to fix that?
Oh, and I love they actually link up with Yale University to get this these resources moving and really do this back study on the disparities in the data. And so the data right now is showing you that 32 to 71% of BIPOC veterans are greater likelihood of having punishment while they're inside of the military. So that obviously is a great contributor to PTSD. Their punishment is a lot harsher. They're also saying 53% witness white nationalism or racism. So you have to understand now, they're unpacking all these things that they're witnessing. On top of that, they are really looking at the data, and it's showing that they're more likely BIPOC veterans are more likely to commit suicide or have mental health illnesses that are not going, for a lack of better word, they're not being treated properly. And so that data shows that this is a necessary project, which is why they use storytelling, they use partnerships with organizations such as Yale University to really come up with a game plan.
Do we have any idea from the data as to whether or not some of the disparities are increasing or decreasing?
Right now, they're showing as of 2023, there has been some decrease in the veterans not getting the support, but there hasn't been enough to talk about. The numbers are not large enough right now to show this as being successful or not successful. And so my hope is always that these Black veterans know that the resources are there and take advantage of the resources. Because you don't want to get the data, you don't want to have the resources, and then people aren't taking advantage because they're not aware of it. And that's why I think it's our job to make sure that they have the proper resources along the way.
No doubt about that. And speaking of those resources, any other ones that you want to shed light on?
Well, there's a lot of different organizations out there, and I think that what I love is that the organizations have reforms and different ways to have inclusion. There's not necessarily a one-stop shop for any veteran. So I tell you, if you're looking for something, look right in your organizations, in your own community. There are veteran services and community programs, along with your very own healthcare, your mental health services, your housing, your education services, right at your own VA. So check out your VA, and the VA can always link you with something that may be more based on your unique needs.
Yeah, well, very helpful, very, very important topic, and something that probably is, based on what you're saying here, not getting enough attention and something that really needs to be fixed. So Shay Johnson, 90s Race and Culture Contributor, thanks so much for joining us here on 90s Plus today.
Thank you so much, and happy Veterans Day. We appreciate your service.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Thank you.